Today on The Vibe, two U.S. experts join us for an in-depth discussion alongside the 7th China-U.S. Sister Cities Conference and the importance of maintaining ties. King of Bamboo. Following yesterday's International Panda Day, we take a look at the conservation efforts China has in place to protect these national symbols. Hey there, and welcome to The Vibe on CGTN. I'm your host, Leonie Zoomer in Beijing. Thanks for tuning in. Here at The Vibe, we're your go-to destination for all things art and culture every weekday. On October 25, during the 7th China-U.S. Sister Cities Conference, CGTN hosted a roundtable discussion in Hangzhou titled Civilization Dialogue and Global Governance, from local friendship to a community with a shared future for humanity. CGTN reporter Yang Yan engaged in an in-depth conversation with two distinguished American guests, Robertson Lopez, Chair Emeritus of Sister Cities International, and Rodrigo Espinosa Rios, former Mayor of Livingston City. Both are long-standing friends of China and influential figures in promoting people-to-people exchanges between the two countries.
As you can tell, we're both very passionate about our work, and we're very passionate about living in a peaceful world.
Hello everyone, welcome to CGTN's live coverage in Hangzhou, where the 7th China-U.S. Sister Cities Conference is now underway. We'll bring you a special discussion on how city-to-city ties continue to connect people, even in challenging times. I'm Yang Yan, and we are honored to have two distinguished guests with us today. Robertson Lopez, Chair Emeritus of Sister Cities International. Rodrigo Espinosa Rios, former Mayor of Livingston City, is now focusing on education. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Carol, Rodrigo, is this your first time in Hangzhou?
It's my first time in Hangzhou, but not my first time in China. This is probably my 10th trip to China.
10th trip to China, that's a lot.
Every city I go to is my favorite city. The cities of China are just so varied.
Rodrigo, is this your first visit in Hangzhou?
Hangzhou, yes, but this is my third time in China. My first time was in Beijing in the Great Wall in 2014. And that's when we had our sister city involvement with the city of Yingtang. People are wonderful and very inviting.
I know you have a tight schedule today touring the city. So what's the impression so far?
I was so impressed by the advanced work that's being done in this community in terms of technology, robots, artificial intelligence, and just hearing the GDP stories of how Hangzhou's economy is number 2, I think, in all of China. It's very impressive.
Just like her, I was very impressed at the district that we saw. I can't remember the name, but I know they're very specific in developing the region very thoughtfully so that the community has the best, plus, to compete with the world and support the citizens. I walked around with my wife, and it's to see how clean it is, how beautiful, all the greenery when we're traveling around is so green. So I'm glad that China is, not just Hangzhou, but all China is adopting a good environment for its people, right?
Which other parts of the city stories inspires you or surprise you?
One of the things is, for a city with such a large population, this city is so clean. I don't think I've seen one piece of litter. I don't think I've seen one cigarette butt. It is just so clean. And we need to find out how to make our citizens be as tidy as Chinese citizens are.
All the sidewalks are almost brand new. The bridges have landscaping on them, which is so wonderful, right?
The theme of this conference is closer partnership for a sustainable future. How do you understand the theme, and what's your expectations for this conference?
For me, when we're talking about that, is the problems that we face in our world today are ones that can't be solved by one country. They can only be solved when countries work together to deal with some of the issues that we have. For example, I live in the Southwest, where we have a huge problem with scarcity of water. So I've been really interested to see some of the technology being developed here to deal with how you cope with scarcity of water. These problems are huge. Pollution, healthcare, engaging our youth. We all worry about our youth.
The youth are our future. And we want to make sure that we advertise, we bring the youth together, especially right now with social media. And she was stating, that about them connecting with each other, right, in the future. So I think that if we advertise and do exchanges, for our residents, our students, like I said, I came in 2019 as well, and we went to some schools with some students. And that's where it starts out, the exchange of students, exchange of business people, where you can bring our countries together.
In my community, in one of the parks every day, there's senior citizens doing Tai Chi.
Oh.
They come together because we learned from China that Tai Chi improves seniors' balance. Plus, just coming together. I know in some places in China, people come together and dance together in the evening. Those kind of activities are fabulous for senior citizens. So we do learn from each other. Now, on the other hand, you have something to learn from us. And what that is our seniors volunteer. They volunteer in the schools. And now that the economy in China is so good that people are able to retire, you need to learn about volunteerism so people feel worthwhile and they're able to contribute.
Sister Cities aren't just names on paper, it's about real impact. Could you share one example, maybe between communities, towns, or schools, where the city-level friendship actually changed someone's life?
Yes, I think just by being involved in sister cities, our lives are changed. Because our lives are changed because we learn about another culture. And when we learn about another culture, we find out how much similar ideas and experiences that we share. We all have the same kinds of issues in our life, whether you live in a city in China or a city in the United States. We all have jobs that we have to do. We all have households to maintain, children that we have to raise, and sometimes grouchy husbands.
And Carol, in recent years, we see a lot of American youth bringing to China for exchanges. So why do you believe this is so important for young people from both sides to know each other today?
I think young people know each other very well. And let me give you an example. Through gaming, they're interacting on the same games, whether it's the Monkey King or Roblox or Minecraft. Young people around the world are engaging. And why is it important? Because the problems in the world today are so big, it's going to take our young people working together to solve the problems, to achieve greater prosperity. For example, global warming can't just be solved by one country. It's our young people all coming together and having ideas and getting educations where they understand what they can do and work together.
So how can we open doors for more students, not just a few, to go overseas for exchanges?
Well, I really have to compliment your president. President Xi has made such incredible efforts to invite young people to visit China. And it's life-changing. We go to a country that's only, in terms of its modern history, 75 years old. When you look at what's been accomplished in China since 1949, it's amazing. And it's an example of what can happen when people work together for common goals. So I think that's the important message that our students get. And just being here in Hangzhou and seeing what's been accomplished in terms of industry, in terms of being the center for robotics, the intellectual properties here, it's just truly amazing and inspiring.
You got to advertise, right? And go to our schools, go after the politicians. You go about politicians and say how wonderful that's going to be for for your youth and business exchange, and also for imports and exports, and through music as well, through dancing and music. I think for the students, and they're gonna feel wonderful that they were able to stay in the United States and vice versa.
Carol, cities are always the first to face the global challenges like climate change or public health. So how do you think when national politics get tough, how do people-to-people ties help local leaders to share information and take action?
Well, one thing to always remember is that city governments are closest to the people. When people have problems in their communities, whether it's access to healthcare, housing, education for their children, they go to their city governments for assistance. As a former elected official, I can tell you, we're really in tune to the needs of our community. But what's interesting is whether you're a U.S. community or a Chinese community, when elected officials get together or representatives from their cities, we find out that we're dealing with the same problems. But we can find solutions from each other, because that's one of the most valuable things about sister cities is sometimes I can consult with my city in Zhangjiajie, China, Hunan province, and find out they've encountered the same problem that I'm looking at.
We always hear a shared future for humanity. So in practical terms, how can sister city links, how can people-to-people exchanges actually contribute to this vision?
With the sister cities, the media can follow us and visit different parts of a different country. So you're inviting the public to see firsthand the real world is how, the real human beings live.
So the subnational exchanges are very important, right?
Exactly. People to people, we also call citizen diplomacy.
Citizen diplomacy.
It's just citizens. I am a citizen diplomat. The mayor is a citizen diplomat, where we go and you may have had one idea how Americans were, and then you meet us and you find out, oh, they're not like in the movies. They're really very kind and generous people, just like we will have stereotypes about what it means to be Chinese. And then we meet you and we find out, oh, we have so much more in common.
Let's be real. There's some people showing frustrations or doubts about China-U.S. relations. Have you personally faced skepticism about your work? If so, how do you respond to it? And what makes you committed? When
I came back in 2019 over here, I went back to my county board of supervisors and I stated that it was so wonderful. And I told them, I invite you guys to continue going to China. Every 2 years, there's elections in the U.S. You want to provide the right information to the citizens, but because of politics, sometimes that gets in the way.
National politics are one issue. They operate at a different level. City politics, like I was saying earlier, are very much about the people. Nothing's more exciting than when my sister city comes to visit Santa Fe, our local citizens have the opportunity to meet our guests. It really changes people's views.
Yeah. In talking about APEC, APEC is playing an important role between communities and economies across the Pacific. So how do you think people-to-people ties and sister links and also culture exchanges help strengthen the regional ties?
Any business relationship is based on trust. And meeting people is how you establish trust. Once people have met and get to know each other, then they want to be business partners and they can be successful business partners. To be successful, it has to be a win-win.
Yeah, you start slow until you develop it. Like I said, there's people that are distrustful, right? But you start slow, and then, like I said, once get to know each other, it'll be more fruitful, right?
There's nothing like having a cup of tea together. Actually, there's nothing like having a beer together.
Looking back over the past few decades, what stands out to you as the biggest win between China and U.S. people-to-people exchange?
President Xi actually lived in the United States at one point in his life. And I'm sure that's helped him in terms of his decision making and understanding who Americans are.
Biggest win is to understand each other, right? And what can you do to improve your daily lives, your perspectives of the world, to make yourself better? So that way, not just for yourself as a citizen, but also too for a business. So it opens up your mind to become friendly. We didn't know each other, but now we know each other, and that's what it's about. Visiting another country, that's a big win already.
If you could ask one person from the other country to do one small thing to build connections, what would it be?
Download WeChat on your phone and you can connect with your friends in China, because it's building that regular communication. You know, social media and WeChat is a wonderful way to be able to stay in touch.
One thing you can ask somebody from China is to come and visit as well, because if you want to do business, and I'm a farmer, we farm almonds, sweet potatoes, and peaches. I always invite my friends to come and cut your own peaches from my orchard. Mm-hmm. But sometimes they don't want to come. And that's what I tell people is like, hey, if you want business, attract people, business, is come and visit me, I'll show you around. You know, my house is your house. Yeah.
That's a good way to know each other, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That brings us to the end of the discussion. Thank you very much, Carol and Rodrigo, for your wonderful stories and insights. I wish you a pleasant and fruitful stay in Hangzhou and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Yang Yan, live from Hangzhou. Bye for now.
And Yang Yan has more for us from the China-U.S. Sister Cities Conference as she sat down with Robert Arnold Wagner, president of the Oregon State Senate. Let's hear their conversation.
Robert, what brought you to Hangzhou this time, and what do you want to achieve?
Well, I've been able to see 10 different cities over the course of 2.5 weeks, and I couldn't be more thrilled than to be able to close my experience by coming together with political leaders at the subnational level from across the entire United States. I wish I had more time in every city, but I've said there's little flavors that I get from every province, and it just gives me the opportunity to think the next time I come back, I get to see more and more of some of these incredible cities.
So how can sister city links like the one between Oregon and Fujian help improve China-U.S. relations?
Well, I'm very proud that in Oregon, we have a 41-year relationship with the Fujian province. We're the only state, actually, that when we established our sister state relationship, it is written into Oregon law. And it's a bipartisan effort, so you find Democrats and Republicans working together over many, many years. We continue to strengthen that relationship. That's why I felt it was strong to not only send our delegation to Fujian, but to also to Tianjin, to Wushan, where we have a sister park relationship with our Crater Lake National Park, and with Wui Mountain, which was beautiful. But everywhere we've gone has been a new education for me, and a new opportunity for us to think about how do we increase trade, how do we keep the doors open for commerce, and how are we thinking about our students and the future, the fact that we share this planet together. So I leave China reinvigorated and recommitted to making sure that we have long-term prosperity and friendship.
So what messages would you share with your American communities when you're back home in the United States to build bridges with China through people-to-people ties?
Yeah, that you've absolutely identified the correct statement, and that is people to people. So much of what we have in our countries is perhaps a misperception of what people think about China. As I've gone around the country, what I've realized is that seeing is believing. When you actually can spend time, when you can have human connection, when you can meet with faculty members, when you can meet with business leaders, when you can take really fast trips in BYD cars, which was a little bit terrifying, but also really exciting. So to visit industry and talk to political leaders and talk to people on the street, you break down the misperceptions that we have for our countries, and we just leave stronger. So when I go home, I'm going to be able to tell the delegation, our entire delegation, and everyone in Oregon that we should be thinking about this relationship with China, not just for 1 year, or for 10 years, but for generations. We need our children to be thinking about how can we develop and grow relationships over the course of their lifetimes as well.
And talking about APEC, APEC has played an important role in connecting economies and communities across the Pacific. So how do you think city-level friendship and culture exchanges can help strengthen regional ties?
Well, we're very proud to be one of only 3 states that border the Pacific Ocean. So in a strategic sense, from Washington and Oregon and California, we're very dependent on the Pacific Ocean and trade. China has always been a very good partner for us. With Oregon, we are known as the Silicon Forest, so we have major high-tech industries such as Intel. We're the birthplace of Nike Sports and the worldwide headquarters for the United States for Adidas. So the fact that we can continue to talk about culture, but also about trade, it's just, the sky is the limit. We want to make sure that we're able to continue to build this friendship. We need to make sure that people know, even if there's a little bit of tension right now at the national level, at a subnational level, Oregon is committed to this partnership.
If you could ask one ordinary person in China to do one small thing to build connections, what would it be?
Boy, that's a great question. I think what I found is on this side of the Pacific, people are very open to cultural exchange and to trying to break down barriers. So if there's any opportunity that we have, especially with young people, if people can think about maybe coming and spending time in a real way, coming to our universities, that's what I would really encourage. I think that we start with the next generation and we can build from there into the future.